everyone. Core here again, state 267. I'm one of the strongest players in the state and in the game, arguably. And today I was going to walk you quickly through, for those who are unfamiliar with formations and the importance of formations. So we'll jump right in. The first thing when you're looking through formations is you want to have an idea of what your army looks like. Here, this is my army. This is my troop count. Everything will probably look a little different than yours, especially if you're just starting off. But here in the top right, you can see troop formations in its most simplest form. That's the fastest way to get to your formations. May not be the most effective way to build out your formations, but this is one route to getting to formations. The importance of formations, if you think about how damage is dealt out during fights, you've got up at the top, you have your infantry, in the middle you have your riders, and at the bottom you have your hunters. Your infantry soak up a lot of damage. They're the first ones that are going to take the hits whenever you are fighting, either solo or when you're fighting in rallies. Your middle, here my pulse predators, but what we refer to as riders within the game, they're about in between. Okay, they dish out a bit of damage, they take some damage, but they're the secondary group that gets hit. Generally, you'll see these guys on the smaller side of your formations. And then at the bottom, you have your hunters. They are the damage outputters. They're the last ones to get hit. They have the weakest defense, but they deal some damage, and they are important to have them within that balance in your formations. When you hear another player, or you are watching other videos, or you're hearing anything around formations, you'll hear of a three-way split. It could be 33, 33, 33, which is not great. It can be 60, 10, 30, 65, 10, 25, whatever that looks like. The general consensus, what is the norm in this game when you're speaking about rallies and formations and or attacks, is the larger portion of it is always infantry. So 60, 10, 30, the 60 would be infantry, the 10 would be riders, and the 30 would be hunters. That is an adopted norm within the game. And when you hear of something, say it's a 60-0-40, that formation would include no riders. One of the strongest and safest formations over a year and a half of playing the game competitively. The first half part of the 2 years I played, I wasn't super competitive. I would say 60, 10, 30 is not that formation because my troop counts are off. But generally it looks something like this. Don't hold me to the exact math here. But if you look at the grid, if you look at how the troops are spread out, this is generally something like a 60, 10, 30. Very safe formation. Can't really go wrong with something like this unless you're directed otherwise. So I did say that this is one way to get to the troop formation screen. And if you click down here next to your heroes, you see the refresh buttons. You can select what heroes you want. You want to pay attention to this. Here's your rider heroes, gives you your choices. Here's your hunter heroes, gives you your choices. Very important that you get your heroes correct depending on how you're saving your formations. You have to be careful with resonate heroes such as the Joker here, because if you have him and whoever he's paired with in a formation 1 and a formation 2, or any combination where there's a double where they're both being used, it will throw off your formations. You can only use one or the other, with very, very few exceptions. Arzertain Heist being one of those exceptions, but that's a whole nother story. But also be mindful of your plane down here. You want to have that tied to your strongest formation. So once you selected the heroes, plane, you have your formation. If you were to hit save, you can save it to any formation that you like. So that is one way to set your formations. Now if we exit out, we'll go back to the main screen, the world screen. Another way to help eliminate the risk of you setting duplicate formations is to reinforce players, or to create what we call just you occupy and you send out a march and it creates a little camp. But this was something I recently came across, that if you were to go here, if you were to reinforce, hit yes, set your formation, say this is what I want my first formation to be. This is everything. I've selected my heroes, pretend I go through the motion, I hit save. If I save my first formation, then I hit march, they're gonna reinforce. Now I don't have access to those heroes, to those troops anymore. If I reinforce here and hit yes, you can see it's gonna bring up my second strongest set of heroes. And let's say that this was my second strongest formation that I would like. I can't make the mistake of trying to add another aircraft to this formation. I can't duplicate my heroes because it won't let me. So the person I have Joker tied to is no longer present here. And then if I save this as my second formation, hit march, and we can go through the exact same motion for marches, formations 3 and 4. And finally, this would be my fourth strongest march. So there you go. 4 formation set. Works the same way if you were to try to create little camps just like this. It's the same concept. So now that you know how to set formations, you have various means to be able to do so, whatever you're comfortable with. Make sure you're doing it. It's very important. If you've ever experienced getting kicked out of a rally and someone says your formations were wrong, and maybe you split it and you hit equalize and sent them in, well, that's why you're getting kicked out, because formations matter. Each piece of the collective rally, if you and just a few others send the wrong formation, you lose fights that way. So everyone's got to be on the same page. And when you are reinforcing, when you are, say, Capital Clash, you're reinforcing a tower or you're reinforcing anything, and someone says, hey, we need more infantry in here, well then it's safe to send 100% infantry to try to rebalance the formations within a particular building, and this can be anywhere in the game. And that's also something that's more strategy related and relevant and can help you defend, especially if a tower has taken multiple hits or a building have taken multiple attacks. Because remember what I said at the beginning, your infantry are going to soak up all the damage first, they're going to be getting killed, and eventually you're going to be left with just riders and hunters, and that's not going to be very good defensively. So anyway, I do hope that this was a little helpful, especially if you're a newer player. If, like always, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And, well, looks like the signal's dropping. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help. Otherwise, happy fighting.